incorporate that a little into my presentation today. So, the theme for this month is renewal, although I'm talking about more specifically spiritual renewal. And I've shared with you many times as I begin a theme in a presentation, I look up in the dictionary or a thesaurus and what does renewal mean? And came some wonderful words. Begin again, reestablish, revive, rejuvenate, reinvigorate, revitalize, refresh, renovate, repair, restore. And when I thought about that, and again, how do I apply that to the microphone? I screwed it up each time, so. But I feel like I'm coming through pretty clearly. Not over here. I'm good. Thank you. Okay. So anyhow, as I was thinking how to apply renewal for today, I thought of like the idea of people renew their marriage. And then about the idea of a spiritual subject or focus, then the idea of renewing or recommitting, like we might in a marriage vow, to our spiritual faith or our spiritual beliefs. And in very short order, of course, what had occurred to me was the Unitarian Universalist 7 principles. And so I want to begin today by going over that with this consideration of how can you deepen your spiritual awareness or expand your spiritual awareness. So I have them written down here, but if you choose to refer to them, thank you, Sally, for posting this for me. So, would you like to renew your faith in the inherent worth and dignity of every person? Yes. Thank you. But this is about you. I'm just pleased. Would you like to renew your faith in justice, equity, and compassion in human relations? Yes, I do. That's good. Who did that? That was really good. Okay. Would you like to renew your faith in acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations? Would you like to renew your faith in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning? Would you like to renew your faith in the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large? Would you like to renew your faith in the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all? And would you like to renew your faith in respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part? I now pronounce you Unitarians. Thank you. So I said in the little blurb to help announce the talk for this week that pretty much all religions, they began for lots of reasons, but mostly it was an attempt to answer some pretty major questions, like who are you? Why are you here? Where are you going? Does life serve a purpose? And if so, what? And I'm admitting these are huge questions and I don't have simple answers, but I'm going to give it a shot, of course. So, this, of course, fed in for me then the idea of spiritual renewal. So let's start with who are you? You know, I did this even when I taught my wellness classes for so long, and asking people to consider, in the end, the spiritual aspect of who they are. But what is most common by far, if you didn't know I was setting you up for a special focus on the spiritual aspect of you, is if I just said, who are you? Most people would focus on the physical part and their learned roles. So you tend to say male, female, there's certain size, shape, weight, and invariably get around to, well, you're a nurse, or you're a doctor, or you're a student, or a teacher. And again, these learned roles, mother, father. But I want to propose, and I don't think this is a stretch, that you are far more than your physical characteristics and any sense of just role that we have accumulated or acquired at some point. And so imagine in my work in mind-body medicine, I was always reluctant to say mind-body-spirit medicine. That wasn't very scientific. But if you think about your mental characteristics, which I think, again, are a little hard to overlook, but you get around to any sense of mind and intellect. And I think that is extremely important, not just because of my work, but a message I would like to convey to you, to think of yourself beyond the physical, not that you wouldn't, but because of our physical senses, do you understand the clear logic on why we focus on the physical part of who we are in the world itself? So, fascinating for me, again, you know me and the thesaurus, that the antonyms for body are soul, spirit, mind, and intellect. I know, but see, this is what we grow up with, right? And it was like at this wonderful panel yesterday, you know, having these really heartfelt stories, messages about growing up with a deep sense of feeling unloved. There's no way in the world that God loves me. Any sense of self-worth had to be seriously compromised from the get-go. I'm sorry, I get carried. You're lucky I don't walk all the way around there. Sorry. I got out of sync here. Okay, so the antonym for body and the antonym for the mind are body, mind, and soul. So that fascinated me, that here we are in any academic or educational formal way saying this is who we are and this is who we are not. Rather than, and even you used the term this morning, body, mind, and spirit, than really thinking about our wholeness. And we're hardly just physical or even just body, mind. And imagine then my experience working in hospitals and cancer centers and wanting to convey, which I'm looking for Eileen for the moment, like I was able recently in my mind, body, spirit medicine classes, to make a very strong statement about the spiritual aspect of who we are. And a small reason. In the end, my real concern has always been people's health and happiness. So how do you do that? And so obviously you need to do what you can to be healthy, make no mistake, whether that's related to the physical body or bringing more joy into your life in terms of the mental and emotional part. But what if you knew who you really are? So an attempt to answer that for us and think about is that, one, your beliefs are as powerful as any medicine. So what are your beliefs about the spiritual part of who you are? So I'll remind you again, the antonym for spirit again is body. And again, it's disregard for any sense of our wholeness. With the primacy of our physical senses as a way to understand and interact with the world, it is easy to overlook and even disregard our spiritual nature. And yet philosophers, poets, prophets, and metaphysicians throughout time have attempted to explain the nature, character, and causes of being and knowing, the existence of God, and that which is above or beyond the material world. So understand this dichotomy of science. Everything must be objectively measurable, but now the idea of our spiritual nature. And I mean it well by saying science will never come to understand God. even though we can talk about a God particle. It is a very special and unique experience and relationship with that. Highly personal. But does that mean it doesn't count? So it makes it fun for me then to be able to speak to a group like this is tell you what I believe is the truth. In fact, your spiritual nature, for all of the reasons I don't have time to talk about today, I would say by far is the most important. And especially if we think about a very practical matter. I keep wanting to swear, it just comes out naturally. So why in the hell are we here? Why are we here? Is it just to experience ourselves as some sense of intellect or, the physical part of it, without ignoring what comes to mind, loving to go out to eat and all the other things we do physically, and certainly being with wonderful friends. Thank you all again today for your very warm welcome. So I want to read something because I like the wording of this from my book, Doctor's Orders Go Fishing. I purposely put in a bookmark so I'd find it. Every major religion has attempted to explain the ultimate nature of reality and has advised people how to live. Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam have all taught that there is an ultimate source of all being, which is omnipresent in all things, and that we are one with everything. And each religion has taught the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The ultimate purpose in life is to realize the eternal self within and to know one's union with God and ways to live in harmony with all of creation. From a spiritual perspective, then, the question, who am I, could be answered, one with God. Or even more directly, the idea that I am God. And I've shared with you before how absurd that has to sound on one level. And even my sense of humor, I joke, we have diagnoses for people who think they're God. So again, you see how to whack this can seem when we address our spiritual nature. And so what a wonderful thing you do here, weekly and more, to join and celebrate your uniqueness and your specialness and the way you come and help each other. And whether or not you appreciate the oneness, truly, connectedness with everyone and everything, including animals. I don't know if I got that into the microphone, so I'll say it again. Animals. Okay. So, again, for reading my own books, but I liked what I said. I want to make sure I said it properly. Okay. Isn't this what it means when we say God is omnipresent? In the Revised Standard Version of the Bible, in Ephesians, it states that there is one body and one Spirit who is above all and through all and in all. In John, I am in my Father and you in me and I in you. In Matthew, truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these my brethren, you did it to me. In Psalms, I say you are gods, sons of the Most High, all of you. And then much I really enjoy and respect the Conversations with God book series. And I love how this was worded. This is what your religions mean when they say you were created in the image and likeness of God. The idea of being at one, or the word at-one-ment or atonement. This doesn't mean, as some have suggested, that our physical bodies look alike, although God can adopt whatever physical form God chooses for a particular purpose. It does mean that our essence is the same. We are composed of the same stuff. We are the same stuff. With all of the properties and abilities, including the ability to create physical reality out of thin air. My purpose in creating you, my spiritual offspring, was for me to know myself as God. I have no way to do that save through you. Thus it can be said, and has been said many times, that my purpose for you is that you should know yourself as me. Think, speak, and act as the God you are. And now I would like to add the importance of bringing that front and center is to make a brief comment about the celebration of Pride. The month of June is Pride, celebrated throughout the country at different times in the month of June. And Yachats, where I happen to live, it's always the first weekend in June. It's been going on for a number of years. And as an aside, Coach introduced me to the editor of the Sayusla News yesterday. Guess where he was? At the Pride celebration, also taking in this panel discussion. So with all due respect to Larry, and God bless you for all you do with the radio station, I want you to know that the Sayusla News editor was there at that event. And we were talking about, well, certainly Stanley was, and why not Florence? But so grateful at least that that coverage was being given. And I assume then something will be written up as well about that. So the idea again of, as a psychologist part of me thinking about, we grow up with this whole idea of trying to fit in. And so in the end, what really we learn too well is how to please others, how to fit in. So appreciate your gayness, or whatever term we might use with this idea of trying to fit in. There's no way that can turn out very well until hopefully you get a much greater sense of who you really are. And so I was thinking about this all morning, so I'm just going to let it go. Red and yellow, black and white, we are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the rainbow, children of the world. And so even though we learned that in Sunday school, you won't be accepting me in your choir too soon. But I just thank you for this opportunity to remind you in the most serious way about the truth of who you are, and now lead into a meditation that I want to start by reading again from the Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East by Baird Spalding. And thank you, Jeff, as always, for helping me in so many ways on doing the reading and the music. So if you will, please make yourself comfortable and then close your eyes. Man is beginning to realize that every other man is his brother instead of his enemy. When man does fully realize this, he will see that just as all came from the one source, all must return to that source or become as brothers in reality. Then he will be in heaven and will recognize that heaven means the inner peace and harmony created by man right here on earth. He will then see that he makes his heaven or hell just as he chooses. This heaven has been conceived rightly, but misplaced geographically. He will know that God dwells within him, and not only within him, but in everything about him. Every rock, every tree, every plant, every flower, and every created thing. That God is in the very air he breathes, the water he drinks, the money he spends. That God is the substance of all things. When he breathes God as much as he does air. When he partakes of food, he partakes of God as much as he does food. So now, please, I would like you to really contemplate my little guided introduction to a real consideration of who you are, and start by firstly simply paying attention to your breathing. Simply be aware, please, that you're breathing in and out. And then I want you to let this come into your awareness. Don't think about it. Open yourself to a color that comes into your mind representing your Godness. Take your time. And as you become aware of that color, I now want you to imagine as you breathe in, that you breathe in this color, symbolizing how really, really special you are. Your Godness. Take your time and see and feel your true beauty. Fill your head, and then gradually even move down through your body until you see and feel yourself filled with your Godness. Take your time. May love prevail. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. I think Dean